Hello and welcome to our reading from the Children's Bible in 365 stories. Today we're looking at chapter 2, which is entitled God Makes People. It begins in this way, and it's found in Genesis, the first book found in the Bible. God looked with gladness at the vast universe and the beautiful world that God had made. But God knew that God had still to make the most beautiful part of this creation. God said, "Now I will make human beings. They will have minds to think and know and love me, and I will put them in charge of this world to keep it in order." Or another word we often use is stewards of this world. We're here to care for it, make sure it flourishes, that it does well, and that it becomes or reaches the fullness that God hopes for it. First, God made the man, or in the Hebrew it says earth creature, Atman, earth creature. God made the earth creature, man, and called him Adam, which is a form of the Hebrew Atman, earth creature. It's making a name for that creature, a specific name like we call each other. And even with all the animals to care for and to play with, God realized that Adam was lonely, that the animals were wonderful to a point, but Adam was by himself, and he was alone and lonely. And God realized that's probably not the best thing for Adam, this special earth creature he has made, that God has made. So God made the woman, Eve, to be his wife, so that they could plan and talk and laugh and love and walk around and do things together. Part of the things they were going to do together was the taking care of this creation, of tilling it, of ordering it, of being a part of it, bearing fruit. God blessed them both and told them to enjoy everything in the world that God had made. They were to have children to help them in the tasks that God had given them, but although they were in charge of the world, they must always obey God. God loved them and knew what was best for them. They would be happy as long as they did as God told them. And God was not telling them to make them unhappy, but God was telling them because God knew what would be best for them. God gave Adam and Eve a beautiful garden to live in. There were trees laden with ripe fruit for them to eat. That means the trees had all kinds of fruit ready to eat all over them. Pick the fruit and eat it freely, God told them. But God had one exception. God said, "Do not eat the fruit from a particular tree in the middle of the garden." The tree God did not want them to eat from is a tree whose fruit contained the knowledge of good and evil. And what God said is that if you eat the fruit from this particular tree, you will die. And again, God's not saying that to Adam and Eve because God's wanting to be mean or to take something from them, but God's wanting what's best for them and said, don't eat from that fruit because there will be consequences that won't be good, and it'd be better for you just not to. God brought all the animals and birds to Adam so that he could give them names along with Eve. And Adam and Eve talked to the animals and played with them. And they did just as Adam and Eve told them. Adam and Eve looked after the garden for God. They took good care of all the plants and the trees. Every evening, when it was cool, God came to talk to them. They would walk up and down, sharing all that had happened until darkness fell to end another perfect day. Think about that. That every evening, At the end of the day, Adam and Eve would go for a walk, and God would walk with them, talking with them, listening to them tell about their day and how they named the different animals and ordered different things and helped plants and trees to bear the fruit they were supposed to be. And they just spent time with God. What an amazing thing to think about. What a beautiful story to think about. That God made us so that we need each other. We need each other to have a sense of our fullness, to have a sense of who God wants us to be, to help each other become fully who God wants to be with God as part of our relationships. And that Adam and Eve at one point would walk with God every evening at the end of each day. Just amazing to think about a wonderful, beautiful, simple story of God making us because God wanted to make the most special thing of all. Well, here's this chapter for today. I'll try and get some more chapters up as soon as possible, and have a blessed day.